Okay, so welcome everyone to our first event by the Beta Epsilon chapter of Chi Sigma Iota. And today's presentation seems very appropriate to start this week, and it is titled Healthy Habits for the Students and Counselors. And it is presented by one of our own members, Alyssa Vazquez, who is also a doctoral student in our doctoral program in counseling with a couples, marriage, and family specialization. So with that said, I guess I'm going to give the room to Alyssa to start on this journey.
Thanks, Dr. Machuca. Okay, so if you're just joining or if you're watching later on, what I want you to do right now is to make sure that you have a snack with you. You can read this little part down here. It says while we're reading, please get a small handheld snack, something you can hold in your hand for later activity. Don't eat it now until announced because we'll need it then. So this could be something like a piece of chocolate, candy, chips, a piece of fruit, just something that you can hold in your hand. Okay. So a little bit about me. So I've been through quite a journey around my own, mental, physical health, just continuing to learn and grow more. After I graduated with my bachelor's degree, and also while starting my master's degree at I actually was working in a lab that researched weight loss through and while doing work there, I realized that there's a lot of issues with the diet industry and with weight loss, focusing on that. And so it kind of led me to going on this journey of exploring, what does it mean to be healthy, and how can we avoid focusing so much on weight or body shape. After that, I started working in a residential day and IOP eating disorder program, but in a couple. And so there I kind of picked up some new information on disordered eating and working with individuals around eating and body image, and focused a lot on learning intuitive eating, as well as mindful movement. And so we're going to talk about some of that stuff tonight. My current research interests, so I feel like there is not too much information included about body size or weight and discrimination that individuals in marginalized bodies may face there. So my hope in counselor education. So my hope is to do some research in that area to focus on these social justice and advocacy issues related to this. And then just as I was saying, I'm still learning and growing. I still have lots of work to do, but these are all things that I think are helpful for us as counselors, students, individuals, humans, to learn and practice in order to live a healthier, happier life. So my first question, so I hope people have their phone ready. We're going to do a quick poll everywhere. Since we have a couple people, I think it'll work. So my question is, when you heard that this presentation was about healthy habits, what words came to mind? So let me go ahead and open up the poll everywhere. So pull out your phone, and what you're going to do if you haven't done it before is you're going to, oops, give me 1 second. Here's a little slow today. Okay, we'll try it like this. So text Alyssa V 242 to this number here. And then once you join, you're going to start typing in words that came to your mind around healthy habits. I'm going to do it too. We're going to use this again, so kind of save the same number, so we'll come back to it. Let me know if it's not working for you.
Alyssa, it's not working for me because somebody else used the same thing.
Oh yeah? Let me see.
But I'm gonna try again.
Let me see if it's working for me.
I'm texting it to the number 37607.
Yeah, type that number. And then you text Alyssa V242.
37607. Oh, I know what it did. I used it previously, so it brought up the number. So I just have to put Alyssa.
Yeah, that should do it. All right, great. We're getting some responses.
Denied.
Oh no.
Mhm.
Really?
376.
You can also go to the website up here and do that if you want to try another way. This is just like a sample round to make sure it's working for everyone so we can do it for the next activity.
I used it all during COVID. So I think that's, well, when COVID first started.
Oh. Okay, so what I'm seeing, and we don't have that many participants right here, right now. So I think, you know, if we had a bigger group, we'd see other words too, but we're seeing exercise, diet, vegetables, compassion, fatigue, health, burn. I'm not sure what it might be. I'm not sure what it might be connected to something. Meditation, self-care, planning. Okay, so these are all some things that we think of when we think of healthy habits. Burnout, yep. And I think there's gonna be a presentation on that tomorrow night too, which will be great. Okay, so keep this text open, so we're gonna use this for another slide too. All right, so you know, something that I noted that came up a lot was diet. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So I was trying to think, because this is such a broad topic of talking about healthy habits. So I was trying to see like what would be the best way for me to kind of conceptualize it. So since I do use a lot of dialectical behavioral therapy, I thought this might be a helpful way to kind of conceptualize how we'll go through the presentation tonight. I hope everyone's heard of DBT. But it stems from CBT, from cognitive behavioral therapy, and it was developed by Marshall Linehan. It's a really great, it has really great skills I think anyone can use. And a lot of times it's used in like structured group setting, but can be implemented into individual therapy as well. So this is the DBT please skill. I could talk a lot about DBT, but we'll just kind of start here for tonight. So the please skill is broken down into, oh my gosh, what's the word? Is this a mnemonic skill? I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for. It doesn't exactly work, but it's all right. So the PL stands for treat physical illness. The P and L are for the PL. E is for balanced eating. A is for avoid mood altering substances. S is for balanced sleep. And E is for get exercise. And then I added or engage in mindful movement. So these are the things that we're going to be talking about tonight, and this is all stemming from the DBT skill, please. If you notice, like a lot of these skills kind of stem from Maslow's hierarchy, it's really important for us to meet this, you know, this bottom most important tier of the hierarchy, which is the physiological, in order to, you know, work towards safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization eventually. So here, today, we're kind of focusing mostly on this bottom tier, taking care of our physiological being. So the first, the PL stands for treat physical illness. This one's pretty self-explanatory, so we won't go into too much depth, but take care of your body, see a doctor when necessary, take prescribed medications, recognize when you need to use self-respect and take care of illness. I'm not sure if there's anyone here who, I don't know, I'm sure some of us here may need to go to the doctor. Maybe we're avoiding it for different reasons, and it's good for us to explore, you know, why, how can we get treatment necessary, but making sure that we're taking care of physical illness is really important. First step. The next one that we're going to spend a little bit more time on is balanced eating. So diet culture. I'm thinking that some of us may have heard of diet culture before. Hi, welcome. Anyone have any? Well, actually, we're going to answer some questions. So we're going to go back to the poll everywhere. So we're using the same. We'll pull it up again. Hi, Alicia. Other people have already kind of signed in, so you're kind of new for this one. So if you can, you text this number, and you need to put this in your text message. And the first question, we're going to do a couple questions that I want us to answer. I'm going to activate it. So if you, in response to that text message, if you type in A, it means yes, B, no, and then C is just you don't want to answer or you don't know what I'm talking about. So go ahead and answer now. It actually might be everyone saying A, but I think this might be a kind of a common one. Okay, so we're going to go on to the second question. All right, again, do you label foods as being good or bad? Okay. So we have quite a few responses looking at, yes, you do struggle with labeling foods as good or bad. All right, so on to the next one. Do you feel guilt or shame around eating certain foods or too much of a certain food? Okay. So it's like I'm seeing a lot of yeses for most of these so far. All right, our next question is, do you limit entire food groups as being good or bad? Okay, again, A is a little bit higher here. All right, our next question. Do you feel unworthy or unattractive due to your body? Okay. Do you engage in fat or body shaming behaviors or talk about yourself or others? And I think also there's like implicit biases too that we may not be aware of that might lead to us doing this, maybe even subconsciously. That's good for us to be aware of, especially as counselors. Okay. Last one is, do you exercise to burn off what you ate, to earn food, or to punish yourself for eating something? Okay, so we say, okay, thank you all for participating. I appreciate it. So I think, what we can see from that is, if you answer yes to a lot of those questions, which I think we saw was true, it might mean that we are potentially engaging in diet culture or might be influenced by it. I'm doing a lot of research around how that might be a sign of internalized depression, like feeling like we have to change our body because a certain body size, shape, or weight is better than or less than others. And that is a whole nother topic that I could go on about for a couple hours. But anyway, so just a couple tips or couple topics here to talk about diet culture. So we're gonna talk about what it is and how it can be harmful. So apologize for reading, but here we are. What is it? So we're focusing upon weight and body size indicators of health. It refers to a rigid set of expectations about valuing thinness and attractiveness over physical health and emotional well-being. It emphasizes good versus bad foods, focuses on calorie restriction, and normalizes self-deprecating talk. Diet culture is toxic, and it can be a risk factor for body dysmorphia, disordered eating, and other mental health issues. It can be pretty harmful because, first of all, it can trigger feelings of shame, guilt, embarrassment, and fear. It can lead to a sense of failing. I think there's a big piece that's not really talked about here, but a lot of times people feel like individuals have more control over their body size than they may actually have, which puts a lot of guilt and shame and like negative stereotypes on individuals in larger marginalized bodies. It leads to internalized impression and societal cultural beauty standards. It can negatively impact social interactions, sometimes like avoiding certain situations. It can distract from work, school, and other responsibilities. And it's the projection of negative beliefs onto others can be helpful or can be harmful and perpetuates the cycle. So I don't know if anyone here has any family members, but exploring that if you have family members that have dieted or have shared judgments around their own body size or shape and maybe pass those beliefs on to you, that just kind of, if you can identify with that, then there's probably it's interesting to explore like the systemic issues around diet culture and how it impacts our beliefs. It's good to explore. If anyone's doing some Bowen therapy, go ahead and pull up that genogram and look at where diets are in your family. It can be really interesting. What does diet culture sound like? So it sounds like all the questions I just shared, plus some. Labeling foods as good or bad, exercising to burn off calories, feeling guilt or shame, suppressing your appetite with caffeine, nicotine, skinny teas, water, whatever you might use. So these are all things that diet culture might sound like. So if you're experiencing any of these, it's good to explore that there's alternative options. There's other ways to live life and there's different ways to have healthy relationships around food as well as your body. And so we'll talk a little bit about that now. So if not diet culture, then what? So intuitive eating. So I'm going to play a quick video to explain intuitive eating. I thought it might be nice to hear someone else's voice. So intuitive eating is, it's what I used when I was working with clients with eating disorders. And I think it's pretty widely accepted as a better approach to food and eating habits. So I'm gonna play a quick video.
Your intuition has led you to this moment to watch the latest episode of You versus Food, following intuitive eating. Oh. Hi, I'm Tracy Lockwood-Beckerman. I'm a registered dietitian in New York City, and it's my job to help you figure out what to eat and why. Today, I'm talking about intuitive eating, an eating style gaining some popularity for providing a healthier approach to food than many restrictive diets. In this episode of You versus Food, I'll explain what intuitive eating is and how you can incorporate it into your lifestyle. Intuitive eating is a non-diet eating approach that promotes a healthy attitude towards food and body image. I'd like to simplify it as such. It's a way of eating without judgment, just curiosity. Intuitive eating was coined in 1995 by dietitians Evelyn Tripoli and Elise Resch. Through the process of intuitive eating, the goal is to understand the difference between physical hunger, the biological urge that tells us that we need a replenishment of nutrients, and emotional hunger, which is driven by cravings and emotional needs. Due to diet culture polluting our brains, it's been easier and easier to lose our natural intuition of eating when hungry and stopping when full. We go ham at buffets. We overindulge in foods that we don't even like, and we only allow ourselves desserts if we deserve them. Practicing intuitive eating can be daunting at first. It's like all of your necklaces are tangled in a bunch, and you have to undo every single solitary strand, aka your food rules and diet restrictions, before you can successfully practice intuitive eating. So it takes time, reflection, support, and forgiveness. However, at the end, food will be categorized as just food and not the enemy. With clients, this is how I recommend starting it. Recognize diet culture. We are exposed to it 24/7. We are bombarded with ads, social media posts, and products to help us reduce this, minimize this, pinch that. Look for it and call it out. By recognizing it, you are more likely to be able to stand up to it rather than have it take control over you. Ditch the diet mentality. Get to know your body. Check in with yourself every 2 hours throughout the day and ask if you feel pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. It will help drive your food choices thereafter. Make room to care for your body and spend time with people you love without worrying about food or exercise. Eat when you want. Understand and honor your hunger by responding to hunger cues and not letting yourself become excessively hungry. Try eating every 3 to 4 hours, have 3 regular meals with 1 to 3 snacks per day, and notice your hunger with the schedule. Check in with yourself. Does this work for you, and do you like the way it makes you feel? Eat with awareness until you're comfortably full. And remember, intuitive eating is not about losing weight. In fact, if you focus on weight loss, it can easily put a damper on this whole approach. The number on the scale will not be, and honestly shouldn't be, your metric of success. Intuitive eating is about making peace with food. Yes, all food. Once you've given yourself permission to eat any food you'd like, whenever you want, you can truly tune into the body's natural feelings of hunger, fullness, satisfaction, and desire. It takes commitment and support, and I recommend working with a professional like a registered dietitian who can help you ditch the dieting mentality and learn to eat no obsessing necessary. Like they said, Rome was not built in one day, so give yourself some time to get comfortable eating this way. There is no right or wrong in intuitive eating, which is the beauty of it. You will never fall off the wagon with this approach. So check in with your body, and most importantly, trust your body. It's way smarter than you think. See you next time for another episode of You versus Food. By following your intuition.
Okay. All right. So that was a really great summary of what intuitive eating entails. So this is kind of what the book, it's now pretty old. It was written in the 90s, and it's been updated since then, but it still holds true, and it's still used pretty widely currently. I had the pleasure of working with Elise Fresh a couple of years ago, which was really nice to kind of learn more about intuitive eating as well. But these are the 10 principles. So I would encourage you, if you want to read more about it, to start with the main book, and you can also do some research just look up intuitive eating principles. Not concepts. But the first one is reject diet mentality, which is what we talked about already today. Honor your hunger. So really kind of learn how to get in touch with your hunger and fullness cues. And I think, some of us I feel like sometimes people are really afraid when intuitive eating is recommended that then they're going to lose control over food and they're going to eat everything and it's going to be horrible and really scary. But actually what we find is that when you stop restricting, you actually are able to have a better relationship with your food. And so if you ever struggle with emotional eating or overeating or even binging, if you have struggled with purging currently or in the past too, it's really important to look at the restriction piece, because that is likely what's leading, even if it's psychological restriction, that's likely what's leading to other issues with food too. Of course, there's a lot more that goes in this. Make peace with food. So looking at and challenging the food police, looking at good and bad foods. The book has a lot of research and science behind why it's important to incorporate all foods. Discover a satisfaction factor. We're not robots. Sometimes we need to enjoy food for satiety and because it makes us feel good, or because it brings up certain emotions, or its connection with family. It's a social thing. Feel your fullness. So really learning your cues, cope with your emotions and kindness. Some people might struggle with some emotional eating. I think it's really important to bring in grace and compassion around that. It is okay to emotionally eat sometimes. but explore more and learn how to manage your emotions and be patient with yourself. Respecting your body. So really looking at why do we sometimes feel like we can change our body and that our body isn't good enough? Ask those questions and challenge that more. I think a lot of us, if we're in these programs here at Berry, we know that social justice issues and advocacy are big, are really, really important, especially in the counseling field. And so a part of respecting your body is challenging a lot of like systemic oppression and internalized oppression that we experience, which has led to negative body image. Movement, feel the difference. So we'll talk about movement in a minute, but that's an important part, doing more mindful movement instead of focusing on, we'll talk about more, but certain types of exercise. And then honor your health, gentle nutrition. So I think some people think intuitive eating, well, if I'm intuitive about what I'm eating, I'm just gonna eat cake and cookies and donuts and pizza all day. With gentle nutrition, the point is to have balance. So yeah, have that cake and donut, but then also like have a salad when you want a salad. It's just not forcing yourself to eat what you feel like you have to eat based on judgments and diet culture, but based on what feels good to you. So there's a lot in this, and I definitely encourage to read the book and to do your own research too. Some better for you goals around balanced eating might be to slow down, be mindful of what you're eating, savor. If anyone, I don't know, sits and watches TV and eats and zones out while they're eating, your cues are going to be off because you're not going to have any idea of like what you're really eating and how you're actually feeling with fullness. So the goal is to really slow down, be mindful, savor the food. It'll change how your relationship with food. Balance how you're eating, add more fruits and veggies, add more carbs than pizza. So challenge whatever you're restricting. Explore where that guilt or shame is coming from. Aim for 3 meals and 3 snacks throughout the day. Try intuitive eating. Do your own anti-diet research and challenge beliefs around weight and size that are based in diet culture and systemic oppression. It's an interesting topic. So there's lots of books and workshops around it now. Do some research. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We're going to do a mindful eating activity. So go ahead and grab that snack. Again, a piece of chocolate, a piece of candy, fruits, chips. And you can turn off your camera if you want, so that you feel comfortable doing this. So you don't feel like everyone's watching you being kind of weird with food. And I'm going to go ahead and read through a script. So I want you guys to get into a comfortable space. Begin by connecting to your breath and body. Feel your feet on the ground and notice your experience in this moment. With your awareness in this moment, notice any thoughts, sensations, or emotions that you are experiencing. Tune into the awareness or sensation that you have in your body of feeling hungry, thirsty, or maybe even feeling full. If you are going to eat or drink something right now, what is your body hungry for? What is it thirsty for? Just pay attention and notice with awareness the sensations that give you this information. Now bring your attention to the item in your hand and imagine that you're seeing it for the first time. Observe with curiosity as you pay attention and notice the color, shape, texture, and size. Is there anything else that you notice, sense, or feel? Imagine what it took for this item to get to your hands. Sunshine, water, time, processing, and shipping. You may choose to be aware of gratitude for everyone involved in the cultivation and preparation of this item of food. You may choose to bring in your own gratitude or spiritual blessing. Now place the item between your fingers and feel the texture, temperature, and ridges. You may notice smoothness or stickiness. Again, notice if you have any thoughts, sensations, or emotions at this time. Continue to breathe and be fully present in this moment. Now take the piece of food and bring it towards your nose and smell with your full awareness. Notice if you have any memories, sensations, or reactions in your body. Even before you eat it, you may notice that you begin to have a digestive response in your body just by noticing and smelling. With full awareness of your hand moving towards your mouth, place the object, fruit or chocolate, whatever you have, into your mouth without chewing or swallowing it. Just allow it to be in your mouth, roll it around to different parts of your mouth and tongue. Notice the flavor and texture. Notice the physical sensations within your body, especially your mouth and your gut. Continue to breathe as you explore the sensation of having this item in your mouth. Next, take just one bite and notice the flavor. Notice the change of texture. Then very slowly begin to chew this piece of food and notice the parts of your mouth that are involved in chewing. Notice the sound and movement of chewing as you continue to notice the sensations and flavor. When you are ready, swallow this item and notice the path that it follows from your mouth and throat into your stomach. Notice the sensation and taste that may linger in your mouth. Connect again to your body and your breath and notice your experience in this moment. And here we will pause and begin to bring our attention back to this presentation. I want to ask you, if you wouldn't mind writing in the chat what this was like for you. If you noticed anything, if you've done it before or maybe it felt odd for you. I want to see what that was like. Or even if we didn't try it, what our thoughts are on trying it in the future. Anyone have any thoughts? That's my love for the smell of chocolate. It was very relaxing and I paid more attention to the taste of the food. Great. Yeah, those are some of the goals, is to kind of slow down and pay attention. Obviously, every time we eat something, you don't have to do this mindful eating script, but it can be a nice practice to help work on our mindfulness skills and also to kind of enjoy and savor food more. Even if you're eating, you don't want to do the whole script, what you can do is focus on your senses. So what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I tasting? What am I hearing? Notice things not noticed before. This can be a really nice activity to do with food. Okay. So the next skill from the please skills is to avoid mood altering substances. So in general, substances impact how we feel, can deplete dopamine and serotonin. These neurotransmitters have been shown to play an important role in mood regulation. So it's recommended that we engage in moderate drinking, a sobriety, or kind of explore our relationship with drugs or alcohol. The next skill was balanced sleep. So the goal was to try to get enough sleep to feel refreshed Keep a consistent schedule. Go to bed when sleepy. Get out of bed if you're not able to fall asleep after 30 minutes. Avoid screen time for at least an hour before bed. Create a night routine to train your body to relax before going to sleep. If you're someone who struggles with worries or racing thoughts before bed, give yourself time to worry before winding down. Write a list of the tasks you wish to address the next day and give yourself permission to try to worry about this tomorrow. Exercise during the day can help you fall asleep at night, as long as it's more than an hour before bedtime. If you are someone who likes ambient noise to fall asleep, consider white noise machines or fans. And a warm bath can help activate calming chemicals in the brain. So these are all, sleep hygiene, which I think most of us have probably heard and are familiar with. And it's definitely important for us as students and counselors to make sure we're getting enough sleep too. The next please skill is to get exercise or to engage in mindful movement. So exercise has a lot of benefits. And I really want us to start focusing, in this presentation, to focus on the benefits of exercise outside of weight management or weight loss, because that's kind of the goal, what's recommended in doing for yourself. And also when working with clients is to kind of move away from that diet culture and weight-based approach mentality. So the goals here are to improve your memory. Exercise can improve your memory and brain function, can protect against many chronic diseases. It can help lower blood pressure and improve heart health. It can improve your quality of sleep. It can help reduce feelings of anxiety and depression, and can combat cancer-related fatigue. So definitely get some exercise in. I want to talk a little bit about what mindful movement is, because I think sometimes some people might struggle with exercise where it feels daunting, where they feel like they have to, and might have an unhealthy relationship with it. So our recommendation often is to engage in mindful movement. So what mindful movement is it's focusing. It moves focusing on outside, expectations from others and what we think we should look like, to focusing more on us and how our body's functioning and what we need in the moment. Teaches us that our bodies are what they are and that they are fully capable of being loved and respected no matter the size. Moving our focus inwards reminds us that we all have value, we have worth, we're capable of great things. We don't have to listen to what society tells us, and we can listen to what we tell us. It matters because it allows us to uncover ways of moving our bodies that feel good and make us happy, helps us tune into our inner wisdom here and now, so we can make empowered decisions about how we're going to treat ourselves on any given day. And it matters because it takes into account our physical, mental, and emotional limitations and honors them rather than pushing them aside. On the next slide, we're going to talk about some questions that I think are really important, so we can tell if we are engaging in mindful movements or if we're engaging in some harmful exercise behaviors. So the first step is to ask yourself are you moving your body in this way because you truly enjoy it or because you feel obligated? Is your spouse telling you to do something? Is a friend, is the doctor, society telling you need to move in a certain way, so you're forcing yourself to do it? Are you being mindful and respectful of your current mental, emotional, and physical limitations? Maybe you're not feeling well. Maybe you hurt your foot the other day. Maybe you're just really tired because you had to finish a paper really late last night. Let's look at, are you being mindful and respecting yourself in this moment? Is the movement creating joy or is it creating stress? Do you feel energized and uplifted after participating in the movement, or are you run down and exhausted? Do you truly like this movement and will participate in regardless of whether it was good for your health or not? So we want to ask yourselves these questions before you engage in movement. Mindful movement can really be anything. It can be yoga, it can be Pilates, it can be weightlifting if you really enjoy it and that's something that you like doing. Some people enjoy running. It can be dancing, it can be going for a walk and observing nature around you. It can be taking your dog for a walk. So there's really not a limit to what it can be. But it's more about being intentional about what you're doing, what kind of movement you're engaging in. So my question for you, and this is going to kind of wrap up our presentation for tonight, is what healthy habits do you want to adjust? So I would encourage everyone here watching the presentation to look at these categories and try to identify a small goal that you want to work on from each category. Again, I think I didn't include SMART goals here, but I think using SMART goals, something that's small, what is it? What's M? Maintaining? Measurable, there we go. Small, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive, I think. Sorry, I should have looked into that before. But anyways, use SMART goals. So make a small goal for each of these. I just want to open up to the group since we have some time and see if anyone has any questions or thoughts on their own experiences around any of these healthy habits. And this we can just talk. We don't have to put in the chat. Did anyone notice anything that they would like to change or do differently or do more of?
More of more exercise. I mean, you know, as you get older, you start enjoying certain things. I enjoy the stretching and just walking outside and breathing and just enjoying nature, which gives me that mindful movement.
Yeah, that's great. So it sounds like you've done it before and you kind of know what you enjoy. So
I recently, you know, of course, due to the pandemic, we were all stuck inside. So every day, because I'm stuck working online, what I would do is take a 15-minute break and walk outside. And I noticed during that time, I felt better. It's like I re-energized. I was more mindful of certain things around me. And then I come back and I regroup. And I was more relaxed when I regrouped. So
yeah.
I kept on doing it. I still do it even now. Like I'm back working in a building. I walk out. I literally walk out and walk to my car and walk back in.
That's great. So it sounds like for you, like finding ways that you can sneak in. I mean, we're all, I'm sure, extremely busy. So where can I fit in more mindful movement into my day? That's awesome. Any other thoughts?
I definitely would like them also to increase exercise and definitely, you know, sometimes you don't exercise because you think that you have to do something that is pretty big, you know, like I don't know, like going to the gym or like doing something that is quite like, I don't know, large. And you know, sometimes just stretching can be quite helpful or or yeah, as Mary was talking, you know, just a small walk, those things, you know, are can be quite useful. So I think that I'm gonna focus on those small things that you can do rather than be waiting for, oh, where I'm gonna be doing my yoga class, and then if there is not a yoga class that fits my schedule, then I don't do anything because, you know, I cannot find the yoga class or the dance class or whatever it is that sometimes we want to do as our main exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but I think there's this, you know, all or nothing mentality of we either have to do 100% or it's not worth it. And so I think that's a really important skill to work on is, okay, you know, even a 20-minute stretching activity is going to be good for me. It's better than not. And I'll feel better after it too.
I think learning to unplug has become very, very big. You don't realize how plugged in you are into work, computer, and everything else. So I think unplug allows you to step out of that environment and shift your thinking. For example, a few months back in June, it was raining and I couldn't really go outside. So I sat on my steps and I focused on the ants that were climbing up and down the steps. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know we had red ants, orange red ants in Florida. I unplugged and I got into something else and I became mindful of not only my movement, but nature around me. So I think unplugging is such a beautiful thing, especially now for us.
Yeah, definitely. That was mindfulness in a nutshell. That was beautiful.
Alyssa, I was actually happy that you mentioned the all or nothing mentality, because that's me with balancing my eating. It's either I'm very, very restrictive of what I eat, or I eat everything. So I think right now what I have to work on more is just trying to find that balance, especially with like the intuitive eating.
Mhm.
And just trying to find what works for me. I mean, I know there are certain things I can't eat because they affect my physical health, but just trying to find that balance to see what is enough basically
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad that you're open to looking into that. And I think it's so funny because everyone thinks, oh, if I stop restricting and I lose control, like what's going to happen? And actually, the restriction is what causes the, I don't know, the overeating, the emotional eating, the potential binges,
Yes.
the loss of control. So it's actually eat more and throughout the day, and you're going to do better. Um, yeah, so I'm glad you're going to explore that. There's lots of resources out there. Okay, well, I think we can wrap up. If no one has anything else to share. I appreciate everyone being here tonight and trying out some mindful eating activity. So I wish everyone a happy wellness week.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thank you for launching our Wellness Week with this wonderful presentation. I definitely learned new things. I actually never heard of the concept of intuitive eating, so I'm gonna research more about that because it sounds like something that can be quite helpful. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
yeah. Thanks for having me tonight.
All
All
right.
right, I'll stop the recording.